Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute. This is absolutely the longest break that I've ever taken from YouTube before, and I don't see myself taking a break anytime soon. So I'm back, okay? I filmed a video yesterday, here I am today. In today's video, we are going to be doing a Q&A. So if you're new here, hey, my name is Kailin and welcome to a safe place. I post videos mainly about eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating, but the vibe is basically feel good in your skin, feel good being you, and self-improvement when it comes to how we view ourselves, not how we change our body. So before we jump right into this Q&A, I do want to thank LUISA for sponsoring this video. They currently have a holiday sale going on right now on their website. And if you click on the link in my description box, you can save up to 35% on your purchases this holiday season. I'm currently wearing some of my favorite pieces. This necklace combo is one of my favorite things. Stacking jewelry is so fun, and it adds a little bit of something to like a boring outfit. You know what I'm saying? Jewelry can just spice up anything. So if you are looking to finish up some of your holiday shopping or you want to grab a gift for yourself, then I'm gonna leave all of the information in the description down below. And again, you can shop through my link to save up to 35%. So I'm gonna try to answer as many questions in this video as I possibly can, so we'll jump right into it. But the first question is just, where have you been? What's been going on? How are you doing? So I'll give you a little rundown. I'm 27 now. My birthday was December 8th, so woo, I'm a year older. I got stitches in my hand. I dyed my hair pink. I don't think I ever filmed a video while my hair was pink, but nothing else is really new. My mental health was a little bit rocky. It tends to take quite a hit whenever the weather changes, and we had like 10 centimeters of snow and it just kept snowing. And listen, I was gonna say I love snow. That's not true. I like snow from the inside and like when it's mild, but my depression literally kind of snuck up on me a little bit, just making general tasks harder, especially sitting down, seeing myself, talking, and then editing or looking at clips of myself. I just didn't want to do that. But we're here now and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy to be back. I'm feeling really, really inspired. But another reason why I wasn't around is because, as I'm sure all of you know, we are currently witnessing a genocide going on, and the world has been so incredibly heavy and sad and depressing. And for a while, I didn't think that my voice was the one that needed to be heard. So I took a little bit of a break for that reason as well. But I've come to realize that this is a good medium for me to keep some of the positivity up just in general in my life and have a little bit of routine and structure, and also to offer all of you a little bit of an escape from reality when you guys need it. So it works for me, works for you. And yeah, that's the 411 for right now. The next question is when to know when to let go of friendships when boundaries were set and your friend still talks about diet culture on autopilot. This is really, really hard because friendships don't always break or separate because somebody has done something wrong. And of course, talking about diet culture all the time, especially when you have set boundaries, is frustrating for you and potentially triggering and damaging to your mental health. And so if this is a friendship that you really, really value, and outside of this diet culture talk, this friend is like one of your best friends for life that you want in your life forever, then having a much more serious talk or boundary setting with them would be my advice for that. Because sometimes I find when we set boundaries, especially when we're new to setting boundaries, we can kind of beat around the bush sometimes or not be as direct as we think we are being. And so, for example, if this is not the case and you were super, super direct and they continue to disrespect you this way, I would say that that friend probably hurts your mental health more than helping it and more than helping you in life. And so we say goodbye, whether that's for now or if it's forever. But sometimes some of these friendships aren't worth saving. So if this is a friend that drains your cup, that takes away your energy, that just makes you feel kind of shitty after you leave, after you hang out with them, they're not a good friend. Your friends should fill your cup. Your friends should make you feel good when you are around them. They shouldn't make you feel insecure. They shouldn't make you feel bad. And God, they should not be ever criticizing or talking about your body or your appearance negatively. If they do that, I promise you, they are not a friend. Another question that I received in the friendship category here is like how to find good friends. and how to find people that like fill up your cup instead of empty it. I feel like the most important relationships in somebody's life is the relationship that they have with their friends. But the first thing, if we're wanting friends like that, then you have to be a friend like that too. If you're a pessimist, if you're always complaining, if you try to tear down other people or talk negatively about other people, that's the kind of energy that we are going to attract. That does not always mean that that's the energy we put out if we find ourselves stuck in friendship groups that don't help us. And when I say help us, friends should help us grow, help us relax, help us have a good time, help us laugh, etc. But they should not be helping us dig our own grave because of how badly they make us feel. Making friends, especially as an adult, is so fucking hard. It's so hard. And I'll give you an example, okay? When I was 21, I think I was 21, 27 now. So this is 6 years ago. God, I'm bad at math. Anyway, I had no friends. And I remember crying to Andrew about it and being like, you're my only friend. Like, I have no friends. This is so weird. Well, not weird. I just felt so out of place. And the reason why at that point in time I had no friends is because I literally let go of every negative person in my life. There was one friend who would ditch me every single time she got a boyfriend. Haven't really heard much from her since. And so it just goes to show that there are some people who prioritize you in friendships and some people who don't. I was always the one making plans to hang out. You shouldn't be the only one to do that. It's not fun and it's not fair. And so for me, I found myself in that place where I was friendless. And what happened is I kind of just kept putting out that positive energy and also kept saying yes to opportunities and also making opportunities. So one of my current best friends had sent me a message on Instagram because we had gone to school and we're kind of just acquaintances in the past. And she was just mentioning my page and kind of just that she was proud of everything that I was doing. And I knew that the kind of energy that this girl had was the kind of energy that I wanted to be around. And so I asked her to a little picnic, and to this day, she's still one of my best friends now 6 years later. And through her, I met other mutual friends that I really connected with and that had similar values as I did. And so sometimes it just hits you when you least expect it, but making those opportunities, you know, when you meet somebody who is kind and just asking them out for a cup of coffee or something like that as friends, I think can go a really long way. However, we don't all have the nerve to do that, and that's okay. One of the other things that I would recommend is just go to an activity or a place frequently. That's how a lot of friendships, especially adult friendships, are made. So join an activity, join a sport if you like, join an art class, whatever it might be, a book club, and you're bound to find people within your own interests who most likely will pour into your cup instead of take it and throw it over their shoulder like they don't give a shit. The next question is advice for single girls. All right, single pals, let's have a little chat. Okay, my advice is don't settle. Don't settle. If you wanted a partner, I promise you can walk down the street and get any dusty, crusty person, okay? Being with somebody has to just add to your life. It can't complete it. And so my biggest piece of advice would be to find somebody that makes you laugh like no other, that allows that like weird side to come out and is not afraid of it, who can be silly with you, who you don't have to hide anything with. Find the person that makes you feel safe and comfortable, not the person that gives you butterflies in your stomach. That is also known as anxiety, okay? Butterflies in the stomach with love is not always what we want to be looking for, okay? You want to go to somebody who, again, makes you feel safe, comfortable, and more importantly, just somebody that you can be yourself around. I know it's cheesy, but it's so true. If your criteria is only tall, then you are going to have a tall glass of disappointment, okay? Think about what you want in a partner and also ask yourself if you have those things too. If you want somebody who is kind, I hope that you're kind to them too. So that would be my advice for right now. So the next question comes from somebody who sent me a DM, and what they wrote was that they have a new health condition which requires them to change the way that they are eating. However, they still want to maintain an intuitive and free approach to food, and they're a little bit confused at how to do that. And so this is definitely something that can potentially cause relapse if you have a history with an eating disorder and things like that. So it's very important to be very open and honest about any of these changes that you quote unquote need to be making with your doctor as well. So making sure that your doctor knows your history, because perhaps there are some things that can slide and other things that can't. And knowing the difference between which ones. For example, if you have a condition where you eat something and your stomach really, really hurts, maybe we wouldn't do that if we're out in a restaurant or needing to go to work or something like that. But maybe this food sounds so good that it would be worth some of the pain and the stomach pain and things like that if you were at home. Of course, I'm not talking about something like celiac disease, etc., something where there is a lot of risk and a lot of danger. What I would do in this situation is remind yourself that it's not your eating disorder or your mind that is telling you that you can't have something or that that's not good for you, etc. This is something that your body is rejecting or that your body has difficulty with. And because of that, we have to see this as a message from our body instead of a message from diet culture. And so where do we go from here is, of course, making sure and finding staples for everything that you love. For example, if you love cookies, but for some reason you can't use all of the ingredients that you typically would, this is a time to maybe get creative, maybe get some friends involved or some family members involved, depending on how close you are with everybody. But imagine we make it a mission to all get together and create like delicious snacks or delicious desserts or delicious meals based around those potential requirements that you might have. When we bring people in and we face a problem together or make it fun or do an activity around it, it can sometimes be a little bit less daunting for us. And another thing that we can also consider is that maybe through these little like bake-offs with your friends or whatever it might be, you might find new recipes that are so tasty and so delicious that you want in your regular rotation. Of course, it's a little bit more difficult for me to give advice on this question just because the medical condition, it could be anything. It could be a mild allergy to celiac disease to autoimmune disorders, whatever it might be. And so my advice might change depending on what it is. But I would say talk about it. If you're having a hard time, don't keep that inside. Don't keep it to yourself. Make sure your doctor is aware and that you have a team of people ready to support you. The goal here is not to replace something with something else. Like say you're craving a cookie and you eat an apple, screw that. You're not going to be satisfied. You're not going to be happy. And so it's trying to take that thing and giving ourselves a version of it that we love so much. Sticking with like this health concept for a second, another question that I got is from somebody who said that they want to be healthier, but everybody in their family, the dogs are awake. Okay, the dogs have stopped. Back to the question. They want to be healthier, but their whole family is concerned that it's the eating disorder coming back. And if your family is concerned if the eating disorder is coming back, I mean, I think that that's one thing that we can look at as a form of love and as a form of protection. People don't worry about us for no reason. They worry because you have a history. And so I think that it's very natural and normal for them to worry. But one thing that I will say is if they're worried that it's your eating disorder, then perhaps we're thinking about food and movement as the way to get healthier, which is like 20% of health, if that. It's really not a lot. So a question that I would have for you is like, what prompts this need to be quote unquote healthier? Are we trying to eat healthier? Because if that's the case, then all food is in one category. All food's inherently neutral. And if you listen to that beautiful body of yours, and if you're intuitive about it, you don't have to do that. Because some days you're going to crave a burger, some days you're going to crave a salad, and your body will be able to direct you, but only if it trusts you. And if you're dieting or anything like that, then it definitely won't trust you. One thing that I always recommend for people who do want to focus on health is focus on health outside of food and movement. Focus on your sleeping habits, focus on stress, perhaps alcohol consumption or something like that, or drugs, depending on your recreational activities. But try your best not to focus on food and movement. Focus on developing more hobbies, which can be great for our intellectual health, our emotional health. Journal, that could be another addition to our health. But I think so many people, when we think of health, we think of skinny, or we think of dieting, or we think of cutting out certain foods, or we think of moving our body more, whatever it might be. But again, try to think of it from different perspectives, because you know what? Perhaps your family's right, or maybe they're wrong. I can't really know without talking to you more, but if they're concerned, maybe take it into consideration, think about it, sit with it, and be honest with yourself and with them if this is about the eating disorder or if it truly is about you wanting to be healthier. And if it is the latter, then I would recommend focusing on things just, different aspects and elements of health. Another question is how to accept weight gain in recovery. I have an entire video about weight gain that I'm going to link down below. But one of the things that I always say is that when we pursue thinness or a smaller body or something like that, thinness is never really what it's all cracked up to be, all right? The eating disorder can tell you and fill your head with a lot of lies, and it can say that you'll be happier, that more people will love you, that you'll have a boyfriend, that you'll get a better job, that you'll love yourself. And all of those things have proven themselves for anybody who has struggled with an eating disorder most of the time to be false. And if any of those are true, if we are more confident when we lose weight, it's all because of what we think of the weight loss, not the actual confidence that we get from it. If you think something is good and you do it, of course you're gonna feel good. If you think something is bad and it happens, of course you're gonna think that it's bad, like weight gain. But weight gain is normal, it's natural. And also, the fact of the matter is that if thinness is not all what it's cracked up to be, then perhaps weight gain is not what you expect either. Perhaps you do feel more confident. Perhaps you do feel sexier. Perhaps you find the love of your life, whatever the heck it is. Perhaps you actually love yourself. A recommendation that I have is that you've gone down that path of the eating disorder route, pursuing thinness, of restricting yourself, and you know where it leads. You don't know where this one leads. And that's what's scary. I think it's the unknown that is scary rather than the weight gain itself. But either way, if you gain weight because you're finally eating enough and listening to your body and gaining trust from your body, then that's weight that you never should have lost in the first place. That is yours. Because without fat on our body, you are dead. Give yourself time and remind yourself that it's not a scary thing. Even if you don't believe it, again, you don't have to believe the things that you're saying to fight against the eating disorder. Remind yourself that gaining weight's not a bad thing, that fat is not a bad thing, that perhaps the body that we were chasing for our entire life was a body that was never ours in the first place. Got a couple questions about my ADHD, so I'm just gonna pop those out. When did I get diagnosed with ADHD? Earlier this year, probably 6 months ago, something like that. I'm so bad with timing and remembering things like that. Maybe it's ADHD, I don't know. But this year in 2023 is when I got diagnosed. Many people, especially women with ADHD, later on in life discover that they have ADHD because oftentimes in women it presents itself a little bit differently. But something that I realized is once I started medicating myself for my ADHD, I started feeling a lot less depressed. And I didn't know this at all, but apparently depression and anxiety can be symptoms of untreated ADHD. And so before, when I was on SSRIs, it wasn't helping in the same way. It would help, and then I just felt like it would dwindle and I wouldn't feel anything from it, even if I upped my dose. And so now that I'm on a medication specifically for ADHD, it has helped me tremendously, which is segueing into this question of what kind of tools do I use every day to kind of help with my ADHD or to help manage it or make life easier for me. One thing with my ADHD in particular is that if I don't have a clean space, I'm even more forgetful, even more all over the place and scatterbrained than ever. I don't know why, because that's definitely not the same for everybody who has ADHD, but definitely for me, could be a mixture of like my hoarding trauma and things like that. But that's a story for another day or a podcast or something like that. Some of the accommodations that I use, medication. 2, have an agenda that I write in every day outside of the weekends. And that agenda has like the most important things that I've got to get done in that day on there. It doesn't have anything that like really doesn't need to get done, because for me, if I fill a to-do list with so many things, I'm gonna get overwhelmed. So there's probably like 4 to 8 things on that list each day of things that I must do that day. One thing that also helps me visually are like putting snacks and things where I can see them more instead of like hidden away in the pantry or the back of the fridge or something like that. When I open the fridge, everything that I like, I try to put it in a way where I'm gonna see it, because otherwise I will forget that it's there. So, but honestly, I find my medication has been the biggest thing for me that has helped. Also, just knowing that I have ADHD has been so incredibly helpful for understanding how my brain works, why I do the things that I do. I'm a very impulsive person, and that I always thought was just, I don't know. When I say impulsive, we got Tabasco in one day because I saw that he needed it at home and I went to pick him up. We weren't prepared for another dog. We did it. impulsive. Andrew and I moved in together after 4 months. Impulsive. Impulsive spending, money management was something that I really struggled with, and something that I still kind of continue to struggle with a little bit, definitely because of ADHD as well. But one of the other questions that I did get was if I've considered that my ADHD and depression come from ASD. And autism is something that I questioned for a little bit for myself, but when I did go in to get my ADHD assessment, I also did an autism assessment, to which I scored basically 0. And so for now, it just seems like it's the neurodivergent ADHD side and nothing else, but who knows? I guess time may tell. So someone asked my opinion on Temu. I've never been so fucking angry at a question, but not at the person asking the question, but Temu, I swear, has been like following me into my fucking dreams. I open TikTok and I see Temu. I open my business email account and I have probably hundreds of emails from Temu requesting to work with me on a video, okay? And I told them to leave me alone so many times. Well, first I was polite. Now I'm not being so polite because they will not stop emailing me to work with me. And I've said so many times how I'm not interested, how I don't support their practices, etc. So if you've never heard of Temu, it's basically like another Shein, but they don't just do clothes. They do accessories, makeup, a bunch of things like that. If you are paying dirt cheap for something, that's because that something was not ethically made. And listen, there are people who will shop from Shein, Fashion Nova, Temu, or whatever because they might not have any money. And that, okay, it can be a little bit in a gray area. I can accept that if people need clothes and they can only afford a $2 shirt and they get it from there, I can accept that. What I cannot accept and what pisses me the fuck off are these big creators that I see when I open my TikTok app, and I'm talking millions of followers who can very much afford clothes that were not made by children, or people who are forced into labor or getting paid like a penny a day or something ridiculous. And so I have a lot of problems with anybody I see promoting it. I literally think that they should all shove a stick up their ass and be very disappointed in themselves, because it's promoting something like that. Honestly, I'm so picky with who I work with, which shout out LUISA, I love you. But I'm so picky, and I'm picky because I want you guys to trust my opinions. I want to continue to have that trust because I'm only gonna promote items that I really love, that I really like, that are made ethically, that care about the environment. And then you see these people again who are not, they're not going short on sponsorships or anything like that, but it's like they take anything that comes their way, they bite it just for the money. And these people are making thousands and thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands per sponsored video. And so to answer your question, I think Temu can suck it. I think that they are horrible. I think that their practices are unethical. And I think that honestly, if we do need more affordable clothes, to go to a thrift store, to look into donations, things like that. Listen, of course, there are outliers to every single situation, but to try to exhaust all of our options first, I grew up going to thrift stores to get my clothes because I could not shop at those other stores. They were way too expensive for my family growing up, and so most of our clothes were hand-me-downs or they were from the thrift store. And if we've got to do that continuously, then do it. Next question was asked on Instagram, which I'll put my handle over here if you want to follow me over there and be part of these Q&As. But this person wrote in that their doctor told them their weight after 2 years of not knowing, and they want some advice. And so first things first, I'm so sorry that your doctor did that, especially when we're doing blind weigh-ins or there's a note in our file about our history or we ask people to not tell us. There are always people who might disrespect our boundaries, step over them, and still do it. And so first things first, I just want us to know that of course it could be a mistake, but sometimes people do things like that to hurt us. You get the power to choose what hurts you and what doesn't. The fact that we know our weight right now might be putting us through this big spiral in our head where maybe our eating disorder voice is coming back a little bit and egging us on to maybe change that number on the scale. But I want to ask you something. You have not known what that number was for the past 2 years. Think of what those 2 years have held for you. Peace, safety, comfort, hopefully less restriction or no restriction at all. And so what I want you to focus on, and the advice that I would give, is instead of focusing on the number, I want you to take that emotion that you might feel and focus on the doctor, focus on the situation, focus on this world that has made us feel bad about what our gravitational force. Also, just one thing to consider is that weight can fluctuate insanely in a day. Insanely. And so the fact too that our body weight gravitational pull can change by like 10 pounds, 7 pounds in one day, in the morning to night, doesn't that go to show that it means nothing? That what's on the scale? Like, it really means nothing. And so say there was a number there that surprised you. We don't know what our weight's going to be tomorrow or the next day or the next day. And so we have two options right now. We had this little slip because of this doctor, and so it can be very easy to slide all the way down. But we are not going to do that. And so we're going to do some things that make you feel really good, whether that's writing some reminders on your mirror in your bedroom about how awesome and beautiful you are. So every time you look in the mirror, that's what you think about and that's what you see. You can write a journal entry, and even if you might not fully believe it, but about how unimportant weight is and how it's the least interesting thing about you. And that without knowing, you were happier. And so from this moment forward, we are going to continue to do the blind weigh-ins and to not know. Eventually, as more time passes, it's going to feel less of a burden to carry around. And so right now, if you're feeling a little bit rough, give yourself time. I have literally been yapping for so long. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna answer one more question, and then we are going to do a part 2. So stay with me. The last question in this video: how do you tell somebody that you're struggling? And I know for some people this might seem like a straightforward question of like, just say it, but this is so not straightforward, because sharing something, especially food-related struggles or mental illness or body image-related struggles, is one of the hardest things. And it's honestly one of the reasons why most of my recovery, I did it alone without telling anybody what I was doing. Not a single peep came out of me. And that's because I was so afraid of admitting that there was something wrong, because I thought that it would make it feel more real. But as soon as I did actually start talking about it, the less afraid I was of it. Something that the eating disorder really loves is shame. And shame is something that lives in the dark and lives in secrecy. And so the more we can keep something in, usually the more shame we feel about it. So right now, we've probably been carrying around that shame for a very long time, so it feels heavy and it feels really hard. We might also not know the reaction of the person that we are choosing to tell. So the first thing that I would say is like, choose the person that feels safest for you, whether that's a therapist, whether that's a parent, a friend, a teacher, guidance counselor. Whoever you feel most safe with is going to be the right choice for you. Secondly, we have to think of how we want to tell this person. And so I like to think of this from like direct to indirect, okay? So the most direct way to tell somebody anything is to their face in a conversation, person to person. The next step, if that feels a little bit too intimate or a little bit too scary, would be a phone call. The step after that, texting. I guess the step after that would be get maybe somebody to tell them, and then the step after that would be maybe pigeon courier. But I don't really recommend the whole pigeon carrier thing, okay? But either way, decide who and decide which way sounds best for you. If you want, you can like write out a little script or a little bit of a sentence or something like that, like to keep you, stable, or to keep your mind straight when you are telling this person, because I know we can get really nervous. But I think the biggest thing is that once you say what's on your chest, the amount of relief that you're going to have, it's going to feel so good. You might cry. Most people do. I definitely did when I opened up for the first time. And that's because we've been forcing ourselves to like numb those emotions for so long by not sharing them with other people. And so I would say find a safe person, talk to them in the manner of your choosing, say whatever is on your heart, say what you're struggling with, and if you can, say what you need. So if it's a parent and we need therapy, we can ask for that. If you need that friend to come on over and just sit with you for a little bit, we can ask them to do that. You're allowed to ask for things that you need. But I think we're gonna end this section of the video here, and part 2 should hopefully be up in the next couple of days as well. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to do something kind for yourself, and I will see you soon. Bye.